We just don't know at this point.
All right. John Roberts, thank you very much. You've given me some information to go now to the House Judiciary Committee, and that is where Congressman Louie Gohmert sits. And he's a Texas Republican, of course, served as a judge in his district and on the appellate level before he was elected to Congress. So all of that comes into play, and great to see you as always, because now we're talking about issues with the judiciary. And so I want to start with the breaking news now. The president saying he wants the public to be able to see the Mueller report. And, you know, it seems like every day we get a drip about when that might be. We don't know.
Well, it's so true, Harris. If you recall last summer when I was talking to you, the word was it was going to be out by September 1st.
Right.
And I was telling you then, nope, it's not going to be out by then. There's no way it would come out before the election. Bob Mueller needs it to keep going on. He's got lots of money to spend and absolute discretion, investigate whatever he wants. He's got his Democratic lynchmen with him. He wasn't going to cut that short. And as we thought it was, you know, people were saying, oh, it's about to end. Weissman's going. But Rosenstein's staying. Mueller's still reporting. That keeps limitations running on an investigation of him himself. And I would think it would be more descriptive, more accurate to quit calling it the Mueller report whenever it comes out. But it's more like a Mueller dossier.
Oh. Wow, you always speak your mind.
Let
me ask you, because you mentioned Andrew Weissman, the lead prosecutor for the Mueller investigation, and Ahmad and Archie. Those are also important names within the constellation of the Mueller investigation. They're exiting, yet money was requested to fund this all the way through September. And then Rod Rosenstein is staying. By the way, how does he stay? Why?
Well, that's a good question. He needs to be out. The new attorney general needs to have his own deputy. Rosenstein had people working for him and still there, like Tosh Gahar, that were undermining Jeff Sessions at every turn. Jeff never really realized it, even after I told him. But Barr needs his own people there around him, people that he can trust 100%. And he cannot do that as long as Rosenstein is there and has his henchmen working for him. He needs to go.
I want to share this because our chief correspondent on this whole issue, Catherine Herridge, is getting a take here. This is from her. This appears to be the most broad public attack directed at Mueller, calling him unelected, contrasting with the president's electoral win. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's got to go down pretty hard that you have Mueller, who was head of the FBI when they were investigating Russia's effort to get uranium illegally, with a guy named a U.S. attorney named Rosenstein and a henchman named Weissman. And these guys need to be investigated themselves, but they won't be as long as he's doing this, working on his own dossier. So it needs to stop. But he will keep it going, Harris, as long as he possibly can.
Congressman, let me ask you this. Robert Mueller was somebody at the beginning of this whole thing that Republicans and Democrats said that they believe could get this job done. And that wording hadn't really, you hadn't said it, but many in your own political party said it. And William Barr said it at his confirmation hearing, because they've known each other a long time. That's where we started to first learn of that relationship, Barr and Mueller. And so then also coming up at that hearing was that we would probably get to see that report per rules and regs. What has changed, do you think? I mean, I hear you calling it the Mueller dossier, and you've never been in his camp. Yeah. But is the tide changing now for Robert Mueller?
I think it is changing now.
Why?
Now that the Democrats are anxious to get this, whatever you want to call it, out. But the reason I voted to make that public is we've already seen that Mueller and his henchmen, they leak stuff when they want it out. And there's no doubt in my mind that the people that are still working with Mueller, they would be leaking stuff, even though it's a crime. They'll be leaking things that are negative to President Trump, and they would not leak anything that was positive to Trump. So the only way we could be assured that the whole thing, positive and negative, would come out, not just negative, would be if the whole thing is made public. So I hope it is.
Well, the only pushback on that would have to be with that BuzzFeed report, and Mueller, in kind of rare fashion, came out and said, and poo-pooed that. He said, that is not true what you're reporting. So that was really the only indication that we've gotten that anybody would speak up on the record about it. They still have an investigation to carry out. What do you make of the president now so boldly coming out, particularly against Robert Mueller? It isn't just what he's called the witch hunt, which, by the way, when you look at polling this week, an increasing amount of Americans are saying that could be true. It could be a witch hunt. It's so far and broad.
That's right.
But back to the issue, why the president now?
Well, the president has got to be getting disgusted. It was used for 2 years to affect the midterm election, and certainly did. And I can tell you one of the reasons I believe Mueller may want to keep some of it private. As long as some of it's private, then he can delude the Democrats into thinking that there's more negative stuff back there that they didn't get to see.
Would it be kept private for methods
public
and ways to keep us safe as a nation if there are things that it reveals? Those are the rules and regs that Barr talked about.
Sure. If it reveals sources and methods, then that probably needs to be kept private. But we have seen sources and methods claimed back when Brennan or Clapper were simply not wanting the truth to come out about how manipulative they've been of our intelligence resources.
Interesting. You bring up John Brennan, former CIA director. 2 weeks ago almost, he said to, expeditiously expect this Mueller report to come out. Why are people getting this so wrong? Is there something happening? And you sit on the House Judiciary, so you know how investigations go and how they can wrap up. What's happening at the end? They didn't get a sit down with the President of the United States, so they're wrapping this up. Tick off some things that they might want to be looking at this point.
The Mueller
team, I want to get into your mind as a former judge and prosecutor.
Well, and I can get into, I was a good lawyer because I could anticipate what the other side was doing. And what they will be looking at is anything, last-ditch efforts to try to hang something nasty on top of Trump. And with when you've got guilty pleas coming out, people being sentenced, they are still trying to get people to turn on the president. I think they continue. They're hoping surely one of these guys will come forward, even if it's a lie, and give us some real dirt on the president. That's, I think, is one of the reasons they also have kept dragging this thing out, hoping they'll get somebody besides Cohen, a serial liar, to come out and help them nail something on the president. But I don't see that happening.
Congressman Louie Gohmert breaking down the breaking news that the president is going after the Mueller report, wants the public to see all of it. Good to see you from the great state of Texas. Thank you very much.